Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the 10 critical steps that take a creative spark and turn it into a real, tangible product that people actually love. This is basically the playbook for building a brand that truly matters. So let's dive right in.
And we're starting right here with what is quite possibly the most important idea in this entire process. Seriously, this quote, it's the foundation for everything we're about to talk about. It's never just about the what. It's always about the why.
So, that leads us perfectly into our first section, the foundation. Because before you ever sketch a single design, before you pick a fabric, the whole thing has to start with a feeling.
We call this the product feel. It is the specific, defined emotion you want your customer to experience. Are they supposed to feel powerful, completely at ease, maybe a little bit bold? And look, this is not just some marketing fluff. This is the absolute core of your design strategy. Every single decision you make from this point forward has to serve this feeling.
So, how do you actually pin down something so abstract? Well, you start by just grabbing a few emotional keywords, maybe confidence or comfort or even rebellion. You make sure those words really connect with your brand's core values, and then you start to visualize that mood. The whole goal is to write a super simple, clear statement like, "My product makes people feel free and totally unrestrained." That sentence, that's your compass now.
Which, of course, leads to the big question, right? It's one thing to say you want to sell empowerment, but how in the world do you actually sew that into a piece of clothing?
And that is exactly what our next section is all about, the translation. This is the magic part, where we take that intangible emotion and we start giving it a physical form.
And this process, it follows 4 pretty logical steps. First, you pick the right product category. Then, you define its form and fit. After that, you select the perfect fabrics. And finally, you lock in your color palette. See how each step builds directly on the last one? It all flows from that initial product feel.
Now, what's really interesting about this first step, category, is the power of focus. You do not need to design everything under the sun. The strongest brands out there, they become iconic by owning just 1 or 2 categories. I mean, think about it. Levi's and denim, right? Lululemon and leggings. Starting with just 2 to 4 super focused categories is absolutely key.
And here you can really see how form and fit become your visual language. That feeling of empowered, that translates into things like structured shoulders and really sharp tailoring. But ease and relaxation, that becomes oversized silhouettes and looser, more forgiving fits. You're literally sculpting the emotion right into the garment.
Then comes fabric, which is so much more than just a material. It's a communication tool. The choice between, say, a crisp, structured cotton and a soft, organic jersey completely changes the story. It's what takes a design from just an idea on paper and turns it into a real, tactile experience.
Okay, so you followed the steps, you designed a fantastic product, that's awesome, but one great product doesn't make a brand. So the question is, how do you expand that vision into a cohesive, memorable collection?
This brings us right to Section 3, the identity. This is all about taking individual pieces and weaving them together into a brand that people can actually recognize.
And the first rule here is honestly to start smaller and sharper. For new designers, a tight, really curated capsule collection of just 3 to 6 styles is going to make a way more powerful statement than a big, scattered one. It just screams focus and confidence in your vision.
Within that small collection, you need what's called a hero product. This thing is your anchor. It's the one piece that perfectly, totally embodies your product feel, and it becomes the star of your marketing. It's the item that grabs all the attention and kind of invites people to check out everything else.
So how do you make sure your hero product and all the other pieces feel like they belong together? Well, you do it through your design DNA. The best way to think about it is like a family resemblance. It's that consistent set of colors or proportions or little details that makes every single item feel like it came from the same creative world.
And this is why it's so incredibly important. I mean, anybody can copy a logo, right? But they cannot copy your unique visual language. Your design DNA is your real competitive advantage. It's what builds that recognition and loyalty that actually lasts.
All right, finally, once you have your collection, you have to connect it to the world. So our last section is all about making sure your brand isn't just beautiful, but that it's also relevant and responsible.
And let's be really clear about this. Sustainability isn't some trend or a nice little bonus feature anymore. For any modern brand, it's a fundamental expectation. It's the baseline. Building in responsible practices right from the beginning is just crucial for earning trust these days.
But the good news is you don't have to solve everything all at once. You can start with really meaningful commitments, like using recycled materials, or maybe producing in small batches to avoid waste, or simply designing timeless pieces that are built to last. The real key is to be authentic and just be honest about the choices you're making. And the final step in all this is to break out of your bubble. Honestly, designing in isolation is a huge risk. Getting feedback early and often isn't about letting a committee design for you. It's about making sure your vision actually resonates with the people you're trying to reach.
But you have to ask the right questions. Just asking, "Do you like this?" is pretty much useless. But look at the difference here. Asking, "What do you feel when you see this?" Now that is so much more powerful. It connects directly back to your core mission, that product feel, and it gives you real, actionable insights.
So, there you have it, the complete journey. You start with a single core feeling, and you methodically build it out, layer by layer, into this cohesive collection that's ready to connect with the world.
And that brings us all the way back to the very beginning. As we close out this explainer, I want to leave you with this one question to really think about. If your brand, your product, could only make your customer feel one single thing, what would it be? The answer to that question, that's where it all begins.